And today's topic on economic outlook would be whether to buy or rent a house. Well, owning a home is everyone's dream, but with a continued increase in house prices, many young people have found it more and more difficult to buy a house. Many millennials have even preferred to rent because buying a house using bank loans would put them in a debt trap in their whole life.
In addition to providing subsidized home loans, the government has also recently introduced the Housing Saving Fund, or Tapera, to ease the financial burden of the low-income people to buy a house. The Public Works and Public Housing Ministry says that the Mandatory Housing Savings Fund, or Tapera program, is designed to tackle the backlog of 36 million houses in Indonesia. Indonesia requires up to 800,000 new residences annually, yet the current capacity stands at only 500,000, according to estimates. Tapera participants will benefit from long-term housing loans, including mortgage loans, house construction loans, and house renovation loans, with repayment terms of up to 30 years and fixed interest rates below market rates. However, the implementation of the law has sparked opposition from both employees and employers due to its requirements for a salary deduction. The government will go ahead with the Tapera plan, but it will be launched nationwide in 2027. The housing problem in Indonesia is real, as the increase of house prices continuing to increase and even higher than the increase in people's income. With the upward trend in prices of houses, Generation Z and Millennials, aged between 27 years and 42 years, have found it more difficult to own a house, even the modest one, compared to the older generations. Applying for a subsidized home loan might help them to buy a house, but with an average wage of between 5 million to 7 million rupiah, the young people have to allocate at least 1/3 of their income to pay the monthly installment for home loans with a long-term maturity period. Based on a simulation with a down payment of 10% and interest rate of 8.5% a year, a home buyer has to pay a monthly installment of about 3 million for a modest house priced at about 400 million rupiah, located in residential areas outside Jakarta, in maturity period of 25 years. With this assumption, it is true that most of the millennials cannot afford buying a house, even using bank loans. Apart from income issues, many millennials consider a house is no longer their primary need. They place more emphasis on fulfilling lifestyle such as clothing, food and drink, traveling, and hobbies. The house is in last place and is not an important or urgent thing to realize. Their priority is to enjoy life and travel to gain new experiences. In fact, a Jackpot survey entitled Property Perspective from Gen Z revealed that 587 out of 1,194 respondents chose not to buy a house. They prefer to rent because they are not financially ready. From survey data, it can be seen that 36% of Gen Z are not financially ready to buy a house. Then, 22% think that renting a house is cheaper. The problem is real. The government must provide financial assistance to help young people buy a house for their family. Otherwise, they will never have a home of their own.
Well, owning a house is everyone's dream, but with the continued increase in prices, many Gen Z as well as millennials find it harder and harder to find a home, while also borrowing money to buy one can put them in a debt trap along their entire life. So with us today, we have Bapak Aleviery Akbar, or Pak Ale in short, a Jakarta-based property consultant. And today he will share his insights on the growing housing problem here in Indonesia, where houses are no longer affordable, especially for the younger people. Hello, Pak Ale, how are you?
Fine, thank
It's
you,
good to have you
Lisa.
here with us today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
being on Economic Outlook.
Yes.
But Adle, according to the property observers so far, that buying or owning a house nowadays is really, really difficult now. And especially for the younger people between 27 to 40 years old.
Yes.
Why is the reason behind this, Pa?
Yeah, Luisa, there are several factors actually. One is economic factors. Two is the mortgage lending challenges and changing lifestyle preference. Affordability gap between house prices and income growth has widened. Both Y and Z generation experiences similar shift. The perception owning of the house, it become increasingly unrealistic. Additionally, Gen Z enter to the workforce in the economic uncertainty. It's hard for them
Bad
to
timing.
save down payment and qualify for mortgage. Yeah,
So would you say that with the normal salary that the Gen Z is having,
yeah,
plus the rising housing prices, which you said just now, it's unrealistic.
unrealistic.
So this is, what is the major cost behind this unaffordability to buy a house now?
As I said before, the income growth is wide now.
Okay.
You can't buy property because the stagnant, your salary is stagnant, the wages is stagnant.
Okay, that's a bummer. All right, Pak Ale, so can you please describe how high are the prices for like small and medium-sized houses currently in the greater Jakarta area or Jabodetabek at present?
Yeah, Jabodetabek, a small house to medium is a range between 200 million rupiah to 1.2 billion rupiah. It's with the land size around 21 to 90 square meter and building size about 25 to 96 square meter. That's for the middle developer. But if you go to the big developer with the completed facilities there, of course the price is more higher.
And would you say how much is the average salary for millennials nowadays? What is the range? Which makes it impossible to
Yeah.
get a house.
It's between 200 million to 300 million. If their salary, let's say 5 to 7 million, they can afford to buy that kind of house.
Okay. So supposing I'm a millennial and I'm planning to buy a house, what would be the best plan if I do still want to get a house?
You can buy apartment around Jakarta because it's still affordable for the 1 billion to 1.5 billion. I'm sure the millennial salary now is around above 15 million rupiah. So if we're calculating on the KPR bank loan, there will be a monthly installment around 5 million to 6 million rupiah. It still can afford by millennials.
But would you still recommend that?
Yeah, if they don't want live in central Jakarta, they can buy a house, a fringe of Jakarta. That's still affordable for them, for the millennials, of course.
Well, you know, the government has recently introduced housing saving funds, or what's commonly known as tapera now, to help people to buy a house. Do you think such saving scheme will help?
Yeah, ideally yes. Tapera is for the lower income employee. So using tapera, the first homeowner will get loan from the tapera, the interest rate between 5% only, and without down payment. So it helped them. Also the tapera for the housing related assistance, it helped the participant to buy the first homeowner, of course.
So, you know, with this tapera, the employees have to contribute 0.5% and 2.5% of the worker's salary for the saving funds. And there has been a lot of contradictions in this. Well, a lot of people are saying this is too much taken from their salaries. Are you for or against this, Pak Ale? What's your opinion on this?
I think it's tapera should be delayed because the information is not clear to the public. Government must be convinced their with the transparency, honesty, and accountability, of course. And as a public housing minister, also give a statement. If tapera is not ready yet, do not impose this. You know, the rushing without positive acceptance could lead to complication and backlash.
Exactly.
Later on. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think the government should do in terms of like fixing this tapera before they make it into action?
It will be better the previous regulation, which is the civil servant housing saving fund, running well first, without any problem have occurred now. If it's running well and public trust with this program, it will be easy to government for apply to the other, not only civil servant, also the private company employee.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Pak Ale, you know, according to a survey, many Gen Z and Millennials are now seeking to rent a house or even an apartment for living. Why is this? What is the reason behind this? How much is it cost for renting an apartment or a house per year usually? How much does it range?
Per year, renting the house, apartment. Apartment is cost you for one bedroom in the central CBD area is 5 million to 7 million.
Okay.
Yeah. If you go to the house, maybe around Fringe of Jakarta with a nice development, a year is around 50 million rupiah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's this trend now of the youngsters preferring to rent rather than buying a house. What's your thought on this? Do you think this is a good preference? Instead of getting a house, you just rent and use your money and invest it to other areas. Would this be a good decision?
Yeah, I think it's more and more this generation inclined toward the renting because of the location and rental cost, of course. So I think it's as I said before, if they buy, they cannot afford, so they will renting the house or apartment, which is close to their workplace.
I see. And do you think there is a reason? You know, some are saying that maybe like buying is also expensive, but there is also a change of lifestyle in the younger generation. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm agree.
Okay.
Expensive, it depends on location, of course, and for such as demand, availability, amenities, proximity to urban center is also influencing the house price. Yeah.
All right. So supposing you are to advise, to give your suggestion for the Gen Z and the millennials out there who are seeking to decide whether or not to buy or rent a house, what would your advice be?
If they can afford with the salary, they can rental first. Until they have a saving for down payment and money installment, so they can buy. Actually, both generation is delay marriage and family planning as well. That's impact to their house decision. They prefer renting or living with family rather than commit to the home ownership. Yeah.
Yeah, that is also an interesting trend these days.
Yes.
Why do you think is the reason behind that, Pak Ale?
They are comfortable
with their parents, and then you can save more too.
Yeah.
Okay, Pak Ale, last question. Do you think, in your opinion, as a business consultant, property business consultant, do you think it is still a good investment to invest in property today?
Currently, of course, not really, but you must see there is planning government to increase the VAT, that will be change the price. If you want to invest, it's a good time now because the VAT incentive will be next year.
Okay, all right.
So the price will be goes up.
Okay.
If you buy now, so you can get the good price.
Okay, but how is the pricing now in terms of properties now in Jakarta area?
It's quite high, but still affordable
It's
for
still
the
affordable.
investor.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, so if you have the money, get
Yeah.
the house, get the
Yeah.
property. If not,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
choose to rent
Yes.
still. Okay, all right. Pak Aleviery Akbar, Property Business Consultant, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us here on Economic Outlook, and we'll have you again next time.
Thank
you,
you,
Pak Ale.
Lisa.